Let me pose a question to anyone listening to this. If this was your murdered or kidnapped family member, and the perpetrator said to you, I will show you where I put them, would you accept it that no one to allow him there to show you where that family member was? It doesn't ring true. It doesn't ring true, does it? Why would you? You would insist that that person came and showed you exactly where they put your mother, or your father, or your family member. We as a family don't understand why for so many years everyone wanted him to admit where he put her, and now when he's saying where he put her, they don't want to believe him. The really important thing for people to understand what has happened here in the last 3 years, and what we can do to resolve it, and what we will do to resolve it. It's only a matter of time before all the stars align and we sort this out. 100%. And therefore, you can see everything I say is measured, sensible, and has a conclusion to it. This is a CGI of the muck heap at the property in question, demonstrating partial searches of this area and this area. As you can see, those areas, well, especially 2022, was not done properly. And going all the way into here, all this area has not been done. We decided to approach Nizamodeen Hosein, the kidnapper of my grandmother. And he was a gang member of M3. We're going to call him M3 because M1 is dead and M2 is dead. And M3 is alive and willing to talk. And so we decided to approach him and see whether we wanted to talk further. And he did. We hired, the family hired Matthew Gale, a British-born barrister who runs a criminal legal practice in Port of Spain. He went to visit Nizam on a few occasions and eventually agreed a settlement agreement with Nizam, and it gives certain parameters to a $50,000 US payment. As we are at the moment, in December 2024, he's at $25,000 US. So he should have had, under the agreement, $25,000 US. And he has turned down the first payment. He could ask Matthew any day for a down payment for his $25,000. He could then, with that money, buy an air ticket and travel to London Heathrow. There's nothing stopping him fly. For the authorities to say the only thing he wants to do is come to England and stay here is completely absurd, because, again, he has the ability to come here any time under his own steam, not under our steam. So where we are is, in November, Matthew agreed with Nizam for a meeting. There were a couple of meetings, November 21, and I guess it was mid-November, about the 17th, when Nizamodeen Hosein explained everything to Matthew about the kidnap and about his involvement in disposing of my grandmother's dead body. And his reasoning was that my grandmother died of some kind of heart attack. Now, we can park that as it's quite a convenient way. So whether or not she was shot, whether or not she died of an overdose of this toxin they were giving her to keep her quiet, because remember, managing keeping a person in an environment like that from running away, from escaping, is the biggest problem. So managing that environment was their biggest problem all times. So they kept her stoned, dosed up on Logactigil. They overdosed her. We moved on to the next stage, where we decided to track down the owner of the farm. We explained that we needed to do some kind of search, but we were hoping to keep it out of the public eye and just a private matter between us and the marsh Marshals being the owners at the moment of this 11-acre patch of Hertfordshire. So we didn't get anywhere with him, and he wasn't keen. So we then approached, naturally, the police, and they came to meet us within a week. The police who arrived had spoken to the landowner prior to this meeting, and they seemed to have agreed they would do some kind of search if necessary, but it would be a search with his authority. So not getting a warrant. That has always been the problem, because every search has been restricted. So it's been restricted by agreement. So we're going to search a little bit of area. Okay, you can do that. And we search that little bit of area. Okay. So instead of going there and saying, right, this whole area needs to be done and we'll be here for good until we've really had a bloody good look, none of that's happened. So what has happened is that 2022, May, or April rather, they turn up, they dig up a patch of where the muck heap was. And this is 2022, and this is the muck heap. So it's on the edge of the muck heap somewhere. In fact, he even argues about the depth. So if you like, my uncle says to him, so it's about 6 foot down. He said, no, Ian, she's 4 foot down. She's not that deep. So that is, he remembers how deep. I think he thinks about it every day. He sees, before he put the earth on, they put the earth back on her, he looked at what was a living person 2 days before in a home with a dog. So there is the muck heap, 2/3 of an acre of Hertfordshire that needs to be thoroughly searched. That's all, to 4 foot down. Now we as the family only want to search and finalise this search with the perpetrator, which is only right because he's come clean. He's the one who knows, he's the one who put it there. He's the only living person. And we've surely, being the victims, the right to search this land. And we've only had these 2 abortive searches. So the first dig was abandoned after a week, only a week. Now, Tutankhamun, the Egyptian king, they dug for months and months to find his remains. And this was done very carefully, archaeologically. You remember, you're looking for bones that have been there over 50 years. And so if you dig it with a digger, you just crunch those bones up. So if she's 4 foot down, as Nizam says, so everywhere to 4 foot should have been dug. So this second dig that we requested Nizam be brought over for and was ready to come over and was sitting at the airport. First of all, they stopped him coming, even though one of the police wrote to us inviting him. So we had an open letter saying we would welcome him at the farm. And then we had other police saying, no, you can't bring him without the Home Office authority. Home Office said the police must ask us. But the police said, no, we don't want him here, we don't want to manage him. He's maintained the same place, the muck heap, somewhere around the muck heap. He's never said somewhere else, the bushes, the woods, anywhere, a beach. He's never said that. He's always maintained the same location. And he's always said he wants to come and show us that location. And we're told, no, they don't believe him. Well, why don't bring him and find out whether it is the truth? Why not commission the proper search? The search that we've always wanted. And we were always happy to pay to have a dynamic scan, underground scan, non-invasive, with the killer there. We could have ended this in 2022. We're going into 2025, 3 years older, but more importantly, 3 years older for him and 3 years older for Ian, Diane, and Jenny. And, it's not odd, is it really, that someone who committed a crime so horrible and is on their own, the rest of their gang are dead. They're dead and buried. he is saying, angrily now, angrily, quite frankly, I understand him. We are way past pissed off. You know, we're embarrassed that we're being put through all this. We're, logically speaking, we know that no logic is being applied. And that is incredibly frustrating. If you deal with people who are completely illogical and don't want to listen to you, don't want to sit down and act as in unison with you, which whatever makes sense. And if, you know, and you would think if these people don't have the expertise, we'd all brainstorm it together and come up with an idea to close it down forever. And we came up with that idea. And, you know, at the end of the day, people say, well, if you didn't find out then, what happened? Well, if we didn't find her then, those guys, then what we would have covered all bases. We would have had the perpetrator. We would have carried out an incredible search with the correct technology, and we would have dug all those areas, and we would have had Nizam sucking his teeth, his remaining teeth, going, well, you know, this is, and we would have maybe sprayed over the ground the location of the muck heap. We would have been able to articulate it with red lines on the ground. Like this, we would have put this onto the ground. And then we could have rebuilt 1970. So what we intend to do now, after the police having in November 2024 refused to give the family the sign-offs of any of the digs, refused to give the family any plans demonstrating what they've dug. So leaving us out there completely confused as to what the rationale is. Why would you do that? Why would you put us through this? What have we done wrong? We're the victims. My grandmother was making tea in her kitchen on the 29th of December 1969, in between Christmas and the New Year. She'd just come back from the dentist, having dropped Mrs. Nightingale, her housekeeper, home. She was followed in the driveway by Nizam, Arthur, maybe Adam, and they followed her into the house. They pushed her in the house. She was being robbed. She cooperated. They probably roughed her up a bit, pushed her on the stairs, asked her where the jewellery was, ripped some phones out, and they went upstairs and helped themselves to that jewellery. And, you know, so she went with them. Did she go with them free? She may have gone with them thinking, oh, we're going to dump you off around the corner so you can't make a phone call. We've robbed you. She may have gone with them thinking, well, we're going to get dumped on Plough Lane. Doesn't matter. I've been robbed anyway. Who knows? But that was her last time on, you know, where she was free. Why can't we? She was taken to Rook's farm, Stocking Farm. That was where she last was alive. Nizam had her there in prison, imprisoned her for 2 days. He may be evil, we may be dancing with the devil, but we didn't choose the devil. The devil came to us. And the devil has decided to show us where my grandmother is buried. And why can't he be allowed to show us when for all those years, people were sitting in, policemen were pretending to be prisoners, put in cells with him, to try and find out where he put her. Come on. Well, I've got the answer now. He's come clean. Let him show us. Let him show us. My duty as a grandson is to locate her now. I've got the perpetrator telling me where she is. This has been hanging over us for all those years since Christmas. I need to locate her and put this to rest.